What if you stop caring what people think? Not a little less, not pretending, but completely. No fear of judgment, no need for approval, no constant pressure to be liked. Just imagine that for a moment. How different would your life look? Because right now, whether you realize it or not, a huge part of your life is controlled by other people's opinions. The way you talk, the way you dress, the things you post, even the decisions you make, all influenced by one silent question. What will people think? And that question is more powerful than you think. It stops you from speaking your mind. It makes you overthink simple situations. It keeps you stuck, playing a version of yourself that feels acceptable. But here's the truth most people never realize. People aren't thinking about you as much as you think they are. Everyone is too busy worrying about themselves, their problems, their image, their insecurities. In fact, the same way you're worried about being judged. There too. It's like everyone is on a stage, thinking the spotlight is on them, when in reality, no one is really watching. But your mind doesn't see it that way. Your mind creates scenarios. They're judging me. They think I'm not good enough. They notice that mistake. And suddenly, you start shrinking yourself. You talk less. You hesitate more. You hold back ideas. Not because you're incapable, but because you're afraid. Afraid of being judged. Afraid of being wrong. Afraid of not being liked. Now here's something interesting. This fear isn't random. It comes from something deep inside you. A need to belong. Thousands of years ago, being accepted by your group meant survival. If you were rejected, you were alone. And alone meant danger. So your brain adapted. It made you sensitive to opinions. It made you care what others think. Because back then it protected you. But today, you're not trying to survive in the wild. You're trying to live your life. And that same instinct is now holding you back. Think about this. How many times have you stayed silent when you had something valuable to say? How many opportunities have you missed just because you were worried about what people might think? How many times have you acted like someone else just to fit in? And the worst part, most of the time, the judgment you fear never even happens. It exists only in your head, but it still controls you. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine waking up one day, and that fear is gone. You say what you truly think. You do what feels right to you. You stop overanalyzing every little thing. At first, it would feel uncomfortable, almost wrong, because you've been conditioned to seek approval for so long. But then something changes. You start feeling lighter. You stop wasting energy on overthinking. You stop replaying conversations in your head. You stop trying to impress people who don't really matter. And slowly, you become more confident. Not loud, not arrogant, just real. Because confidence isn't about being perfect. It's about being comfortable with who you are. And when you stop caring what people think, you stop performing. You stop pretending. You start living. But here's where it gets even deeper. Not caring doesn't mean you become careless. It doesn't mean you ignore everyone. It doesn't mean you act without thinking. It means you choose whose opinions actually matter. Because not all opinions are equal. Some people want to see you grow. Some people give real, honest feedback. But many people, they judge based on their own insecurities, their own fears, their own limitations. And if you listen to everyone, you'll lose yourself. That's why smart people don't try to be liked by everyone. They focus on being respected by the right people. And they understand something powerful. You will always be judged. No matter what you do. If you speak, people will judge. If you stay silent, people will judge. If you succeed, people will judge. If you fail, people will judge. So if judgment is unavoidable, why let it control your life? At some point, you have to decide, are you going to live your life based on what others think? Or based on what feels true to you? Because the moment you stop caring is the moment you take your power back. And once you feel that freedom, you'll never want to go back. So now the real question is, How do you actually stop caring what people think? Because understanding it is one thing, but applying it in real life, that's where most people struggle. Let's break it down step by step. First, realize this. Not everyone's opinion deserves your attention. Think about it. Would you take advice from someone who isn't living the life you want? Probably not. So why would you care about their judgment? Most people judge based on their own fears, their own insecurities, and their own limited perspective. Someone who is afraid to take risks will judge you for trying. Someone who is insecure will judge you for being confident. Someone who is stuck will judge you for growing. So when you feel judged, ask yourself, does this person's opinion actually matter in my life? If the answer is no, then it has no value. And once you truly understand that, you start filtering what you allow into your mind. Second, stop trying to be liked by everyone. This is one of the biggest traps, because the moment you try to please everyone, you lose yourself. You start adjusting your personality, changing your opinions, hiding parts of who you really are, all just to fit in. But here's the truth. You can be the nicest, smartest, most genuine person, and there will still be people who don't like you. Not because of you, but because of them. So instead of asking, how do I make everyone like me? Start asking, am I being real with myself? Because authenticity is far more powerful than approval. Third, accept that judgment is unavoidable. No matter what you do, people will have opinions. If you stay quiet, they'll say you're weak. If you speak up, they'll say you're arrogant. If you succeed, they'll say you got lucky. If you fail, they'll say you weren't good enough. So if you're going to be judged anyway, you might as well live life on your own terms. Because trying to avoid judgment is what keeps you stuck. Fourth, train yourself to act despite fear. This is where real change happens. Because the fear of judgment doesn't disappear overnight. You don't just wake up and suddenly stop caring. Instead, you act even when you feel it. Start small. Speak up once when you normally wouldn't. Share your opinion. Post that idea. Take that step. And yes, it will feel uncomfortable. But that's the point. Because every time you act despite fear, you weaken its control over you. And over time, that fear starts to fade. Fifth, shift your focus from people to purpose. When your life revolves around what others think, you lose direction. But when your focus shifts to what actually matters to you, everything changes. Your goals, your growth, your future. You stop asking, what will people think? And start asking, is this right for me? And that one shift is powerful, because purpose creates confidence, not opinions. Sixth, understand this deeply. Most people won't even remember what you did. Think about your own life. How much do you remember about what other people said or did last week? Not much. And the same applies to you. People might notice something for a moment and then move on with their own lives. So the embarrassment you fear, the judgment you imagine, it's temporary, but the regret of not being yourself, that stays. Seventh, build internal validation. Right now, many people depend on external validation. Likes, approval, recognition. But the strongest mindset is this: I know who I am. I don't need everyone else to confirm it. When you start trusting yourself, you stop needing constant approval. And when you stop needing approval, you become free. And finally, understand this: the people who truly succeed in life are not the ones who were never judged. They are the ones who stopped letting judgment control them. They spoke when others stayed silent. They acted when others hesitated. They stayed true to themselves, even when it was uncomfortable. So if you're waiting for the fear to disappear before you start living your life, you'll be waiting forever. Instead, start now. Do one thing today, without overthinking what people might say. Just one, because that's how it begins. Small actions, repeated over time, until one day, you realize something has changed. You're no longer controlled by opinions. You're no longer holding yourself back. You're just living. And that's when you understand. The moment you stopped caring what people think was the moment you became truly free. If this made you think differently, subscribe for more videos on psychology, mindset, and human behavior. Because once you understand how your mind works, you stop letting it control you.